Okay, reading from 14 Lessons in Yogi Philosophy and Oriental Occultism, for lesson 11, Beyond the Border. In these lessons, we have not attempted to force upon the student any conception of the truth which did not appeal to him, or which did not harmonize with his own conception. We grant to all the liberty of their own convictions, preferring that they should accept only such of the yogi's teachings as may appeal to them, letting the rest pass by as not being needed just at that time. We merely state the yogi's conception of the matter as simply and plainly as we are able, that the student may understand the theory, whether or not it appeals to him, as truth is a matter with which we have no concern. If it is true, then it is true, no matter what the student may think of it, and his belief or unbelief does not change matters. But the yogis do not hold to the idea that anyone is to be punished for unbelief, nor is one to be rewarded for belief. They hold that belief and unbelief are not matters of the will, but of the growth of understanding. Therefore, it is not consistent with justice to suppose that one is rewarded or punished for belief or unbelief. Yogis are the most tolerant of people. They see good and truth in all forms of belief and conceptions of truth, and never blame any for not agreeing with them. They have no set creeds and do not ask their followers to accept as a matter of course all that they teach. Their advice to students is, take what appeals to you and leave the rest. Tomorrow, come back and take some of what you have rejected today, and so on, until you receive all we have to give you. Do not force yourself to accept unpalatable truths, for when the time comes for you to receive them, they will be pleasant to your mental taste. Take what you please and leave what you please. Our idea of hospitality does not consist in forcing unpalatable things upon you, insisting that you must eat them to gain our favor, or that you will be punished for not liking them. Take your own wherever you find it, but take nothing that is not yours by right of understanding, and fear not that anything that belongs to you may be withheld. With this understanding, we proceed with our lesson, a most important one. When the ego leaves the body at the moment of what we call death, it leaves behind it the lower principles and passes onward to states which will be considered by us presently. It leaves behind first the physical body. This physical body, as we have told you in the first lesson, is composed of millions of tiny cells, little lives having a bit of mind or intelligence under control of the central mind of the man, having also a supply of prana or vital force and a material casing or body, the sum of which little bodies make the whole body of the man. We have devoted a chapter of our book upon Hatha Yoga to the consideration of these little lives, and we must refer to the student to that book for fuller particles of their life and work. When the death of the man occurs, when the ego leaves its material sheath, which it has used for the period of that particular life, the cells separate and scatter, and that which we call decay sets in. The force which has held these cells together is withdrawn, and they are free to go their own way and form new combinations. Some are absorbed into the body of the plants in the vicinity, and eventually find themselves forming parts of the body of some animal which has eaten the plant, or a part of some other man who has eaten the plant, or the meat of the animal which has eaten the plant. You will, of course, understand that these little cell lives have nothing to do with the real soul or ego of the man. They are but his late servants, and have no connection with his consciousness. Others of these atoms remain in the ground for some time until taken up by some other form of living thing which needs nourishment. As a leading writer has said, death is but an aspect of life, and the destruction of one material form is but a prelude to the building up of another. From the moment that the ego leaves the physical body and the influence of the commanding mind is withdrawn from the cells and the cell groups, disorder reigns among them. They become a disorganized army, rushing hither and thither, interfering with each other, jostling and pushing each other, even fighting each other, their only object being to get away from the crowd, to escape from the general confusion. During the life of the body, their main object is to work together in harmony under the orders of their officers. After the death of their body, their only object seems to separate and each go to its own way. First, the groups separate one from the other, then each group breaks up into smaller groups, and so on until each individual cell becomes freed from its fellows, and it goes its own way, or where it is called by some form of life needing it. As a writer on the subject has said, the body is never more alive when it is dead, but it is alive in its units and dead in its totality. When the ego departs from the physical body at the moment of death, the prana, being no longer under control of the central mind, responds only to the orders of the individual atoms or their groups, which have formed the individual body. And as the physical body disintegrates and is resolved into its original elements, each atom takes with it sufficient prana to maintain its vitality and to enable it to form new combinations. The unused prana returning to the great universal storehouse from which it came. When the ego leaves the body at the moment of death, it carries with it the astral body as well as the higher principles. This astral body, you will remember, is the exact counterpart of the physical body, but is composed of a finer quality of matter and is invisible to the ordinary vision, but may be plainly seen by clairvoyant or astral sight, and may therefore be sometimes seen by persons under certain psychic conditions. Clairvoyant describe the parting of the astral body from the physical body as most interesting. They describe it as rising from the physical body like a cloud of thin, luminous vapor, but being connected with the physical body by a slender, silken, vapory cord, which cord becomes thinner and thinner until it becomes invisible to even the fine, clairvoyant vision, just before it breaks entirely. The astral body exists sometime after the physical death of the man, and under certain circumstances, it becomes visible to living persons and is called a ghost. The astral body of a dying person is sometimes projected by an earnest desire and may become visible to relatives or friends with whom the dead man is in sympathy. After a time, differing in various cases, as we will see later on, the astral body is discarded by the ego and it in turn begins to disintegrate. This discarded astral body is nothing more than a corpse of finer material and is what occultists know as an astral shell. It has no life or intelligence when thus discarded and floats around in the lower astral atmosphere until it is resolved into original elements. It seems to have a peculiar, I can never say this word, peculiar attraction toward its late physical counterpart, and will often return to the neighborhood of the physical body and disintegrate with it. Persons of psychic sight, either normal or influenced by fear or similar emotions, frequently see these astral shells floating around graveyards, over battlefields, etc., and are often mistaken for the spirits of departed people, whereas they are no more the person than is the physical corpse beneath the ground. These astral shells may be galvanized into a semblance of life by coming into contact with the vitality of some medium, the prana of the latter emanating it, and the subconscious mentality of the medium causing it to manifest signs of life and partial intelligence. At some of the seances of the mediums, these astral shells are materialized by means of the vitality of the medium and talk in a stupid, disconnected way with those around. But it is not that But it is not the person himself talking, but a mere shell animated by the life principle of the medium and the circle, and acting and talking like an automaton. There are, of course, other forms of spirit return, which are far different, but those investigating spiritualistic phenomena should be aware of confounding these astral shells with the real intelligence of their deceased friends. And now let us return to the ego, which has left the physical body. While the ego, encased in its astral body, is slowly passing out of the physical body, the whole life of the person, from infancy to old age, passes before his mental vision. The memory gives up its secrets, and picture after picture passes in swift succession before the mind, and many things are made plain to the departing soul. The reason of many things is discovered, and the soul sees what it all means. That is, it understands its whole life just complete because it sees it as whole. This is in the nature of a vivid dream to the dying individual, but it leaves a deep impress, and the memories are recalled and made use of at a later period by the soul. Occultists have always urged that the friends and relatives of a dying person should maintain quiet and calm around him, that he may not be disturbed by conflicting emotions or distracting sounds. The soul should be allowed to go on its way in peace and quiet without being held back by the wishes or conversation of those around him. So the ego passes on and out from the body to where? Let us say here that the future states of the soul between incarnations have nothing to do with places. It is a matter of states, not of places. There are numerous places of existence, and all interpenetrate each other so that a given space may contain intelligences living on several different planes. Those living on the lower planes not being conscious of the existence and presence of those living on the higher ones. So the idea of place, so get the idea of place out of your minds. It is all a matter of states or planes. The soul, after passing out of the body, if left undisturbed by emphatic calls from those whom it has left behind, and which calls may consist of violent manifestations of grief and earnest demands for the return of the departed one on the part of some loved one, or from someone to whom the deceased person was bound by ties of duty, falls into semi-conscious state, a blissful, peaceful, happy, restful state, a dream of the soul. This state continues for some time, varying in individuals as we shall see, until the astral shell falls from it and floats off in the astral atmosphere, and until the lower portions of that etherealized matter, which confines the lower portion of the mind, gradually dissolves and also drops from the soul, leaving it possessed of only the higher portions of its mentality. The man of low spiritual development, and consequently of a larger degree of animal nature, will part with but little of his mind, and soon reaches the highest of which he has been mentally and spiritually capable in his earth life. The man of high spiritual attainment will gradually shed much of his mental body until he is thrown off all except the highest portions developed in his earth life. Those between the two mentioned types will act according to their degree of spiritual attainment, of course. Then, when the last possible remnant of the lower mentality has dropped from the soul, it awakens as it passes on to states, which will be described a little later on in this lesson. It will be seen that the man of gross mentality and a spiritual development will stay in the dreamlike state but a short time, as the process of casting off of sheets is a comparatively simple one, requiring but little time. And it likewise will be seen that the man who has reached a high degree of spiritual development will rest for a longer period, as he has much more to get rid of, and this discarded material of the mind drops from him like leaves of a rose, one after the other, from the outer to the inner. excuse me. Each soul awakens when it has discarded all that it can, or rather, all that will drop from it, and when it has reached the highest state possible to it. Those who have made material spiritual progress during the earth life just past will have much useless and outgrown matter to discuss, while the one who has neglected his opportunities and dies about as he was born will have but little to throw off and will awaken in a very short time. Each rests until the highest point of unfoldment has manifested itself. But before going on further, let us stop a moment to say that both the sinking into the restful state and the soundness and continuance of it may be interfered with by those left in the earth life. A soul which has something on its mind to communicate, or which is grieved by the pain of those who have been left behind, especially if it hears the lamentations and constant call for its return, will fight off the dreamy state creeping over it, and will make desperate efforts to return. And likewise, the mental calls of those who have been left behind will disturb the slumber when it has been once entered into, and will cause the sleeping soul to rouse itself and endeavor to answer the calls, or at least will partially awaken it and retard its unfoldment. These half-awakened souls often manifest in spiritualistic circles. Our selfish grief and demands often cause our loved ones who have passed so much pain and sorrow and unrest, unless they have learned the true state of affairs before they have passed out, and refuse to be called back to earth even by those they love. Cases are known to occultists where souls have fought off the slumber for years in order to be around their loved ones on earth. But this course was unwise, as it has caused unnecessary sorrow and pain to both the one who has passed on and those who have remained on earth. We should avoid delaying the process of those who have passed on. Let them sleep on and rest, awaiting the hour of their transformation. It is like making them dye their death several times in succession. Those who truly love and understand avoid this. Their love and understanding bids them let the soul depart in peace and take its well-earned rest and gain its full development. This period of soul slumber is like the existence of the babe in its mother's womb. It sleeps that it may awaken into life and strength. I'm going to pause here.
That was good.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything insightful to say.
I like how he started the chapter where, I mean, we say this all the time, but it's actually, he actually is like saying it like,
To take what you want and like take what speaks to you and leave what doesn't.
Yeah, but I also love that he says like it's not to be punished or rewarded.
Yeah, that was nice to hear.
Like I feel like in so much teaching, whether it's through schooling, we're punished and rewarded. We pass or we fail, or we're in religion, you're punished for things, and if you don't do it this way, you're not gonna, your punishment will be that you can't move forward, or whatever whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
It's like such a good reminder. Like the yogis are the most tolerant of people. They see good and truth in all forms of belief and never blame anyone for not agreeing with them. And I don't think that's to say that we have to be accepting of like everything everyone's saying, like, but we have to be compassionate toward those who don't believe in stuff we see. I mean, stuff that we believe.
Right.
We as an individual, not we as a collective.
Yeah, no, it's important to be that way. I had something happen. Was it this weekend? Yeah, this weekend. Yeah, one of my family members made a decision that I thought was really poor. And I was just trying to accept it, be like, understand it from their point of view.
My God, I'm having major deja vu right now. It's freaking me out. Yeah, it's interesting though when I have these tools now, these yogi tools, and of course, like I say it all the time. Like I don't, there's still things I don't know what I believe in, but I'm happy to learn about them. Like that, I find myself in moments where I'm acting differently than what I would have expected to act, but I'm acting in like a calmer, compassionate, in a way I want to act. Like I'm proud of myself in those moments instead of like attacking people all the time.
Yeah. I find myself being more quiet sometimes. It's
Yeah, and I'm almost the other way because in my family on both sides, our way to deal with things is to put it under the rug and not deal with it and do not talk back to the men and let everyone do what they're doing, even though it's wrong and they're stepping on everyone's feet, boundaries and disrespecting you. That's what we do. That's what my family does. And just put it under the rug, forget about it, and don't talk about it. And if someone's bothering you, just ignore them for 6 months and then move on. Even if they live in your house, you just don't talk to them. And it's such an unhealthy, toxic way to live. This is why I can't mess with them. I have to untangle myself. Whereas now, like if something's bothering me, and it used to take me days, but now I can do it a little faster. Maybe it'll only be a few hours, or maybe just 1 hour. I just need a moment of silence, and then I can go have like a conversation with whoever's disrespecting my boundary.
that's really good.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, there's still a few people I can't do it with, but for the people in my like close circle, it works. But that silence is really important too. Like we're seeing that. That's where we can really gather and I'll use all my tools in those moments, like release the anger first.
Yes, right.
And get to that quiet. Yeah, but this is so interesting. This life and death and like coming back.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
Okay. So we can do some breath work and meditate. I have been itching to meditate, and I even took class on Saturday morning. I'm like, I need to come home and be on heart bench for 20 minutes. And then of course I got home and forgot. So I'm excited to have the structure.
Yeah.
Meditate. All right, so let's do some pranayama. Sit up nice and tall. Taking breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Bring your right hand to the face, close the peace fingers into the palm, close the right nostril with the thumb, inhale through the left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. Inhale left. Close left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close right. Exhale left. 3 more rounds on your own breath. When you feel ready, you'll exhale to the left side. I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes. You'll join us when you're ready. Bringing hands to heart center. Namaste. Have a beautiful day, everybody. See you guys tomorrow.